So welcome everybody to Conversations with me, Amanda J. And I am really looking forward to this conversation I'm going to have with Kym, who I'm going to introduce you to in a minute, because we have known each other for probably about 20 years. Although we've gone separate ways in lots of different things. And I know Kym was giving me a little look there. You know why we've known each other? Because I know how long I've been involved in network marketing.
Okay.
I know when we knew each other before then.
Yes.
But I'm really excited about this conversation because over the 20 years, Kym, that I've known you, you have really been involved in so many amazing, inspirational, professional fields, if you like. And I've watched that, and I find that really, really inspiring because you've always grabbed it and really made something happen for yourself. And I know things haven't been easy, but you've had your children and you've taken good care of them as a single mum and everything. So I understand that one. But
yes.
What really inspired me was when I discovered a couple of years ago that you had actually picked up and were deciding to make a journey to another country. And I know at that time you had just built a house up in the mountains in Cape Town.
Yes.
In
Fishhook.
Yep, Fishhook. You obviously had your children here, and I think you had one grandchild then. Was it one or two?
Two.
You had your two grandchildren. And I know that you were at the top of your game as an estate agent with Pam Golding.
That's right.
There was a lot that you had to say goodbye to. So, Kym, to have you just maybe share a little bit about, first of all, you know, who you are and what you have done, and let's get into your journey now. So,
okay. Hi, well, thanks, Amanda, for having me. I really appreciate that. And yes, we have known each other for some time. I thought it was longer than 20 years because my kids, you know, the kids just grow so quickly, and I've got a 33-year-old now already. So you kind of like, you know, lose the years.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's always difficult to say who I am and what I am because I kind of see myself as this like multifaceted person, as we all are, in some way or another. And, you know, I was a single mom for many, many years. In fact, I think I met my present husband, well, present, it sounds like I've married many times. I haven't. My one and only darling husband, met him when my oldest daughter was about 17. So I was a single mom up until that stage with three children, and had to really kind of make things work because I was not supported financially in any way or kind, didn't have any alimony coming in or any other, you know, support. So hence why I'm quite multi-talented, because, you know, when you've got 3 mouths to feed, you've got to kind of make things work. So I remember at one stage I had like 4 jobs going, sort of like juggling them all. And but it makes for very exciting life and very challenging at times, but I kind of like a challenge. So I can't say I didn't enjoy it. And when I look back, I think it was the best time of my life, bringing up 3 kids alone, but lots of great friends around and support in that kind of friend system, not much family support or any other support, but definitely had some really good friends, and my businesses, which were always, I would say, what kept me going.
I remember, Kym, you were making those delicious bars or biscuits.
Apple chips.
Yes, you had a whole business going. It was absolutely amazing. I remember that.
Yes. So that was Kym's Country Kitchen. I launched that, and that went into all the wellness warehouses and all the big corporates, sort of health shops, everything. That was a very good business that I did and launched. So I would say probably I've, in my time up until now, I've had probably about 4 really good businesses that, you know, did something. In between obviously being a network marketer,
Yes,
which
and we met.
yeah, is how we met. So yes.
Great. And then Kym, I know that obviously you were very settled when you met Ray, and you were very settled, and the kids were growing up, and you know, obviously their lives were taking on. And what really interested me is when I discovered via your Facebook page, I started
Yes.
to see these messages that you were leaving.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and I discovered that it wasn't a holiday that you were leaving on either. I think you went into the recce first of all,
Yes. Yes.
and came back. And then
Yes.
share a little bit, because for people who maybe are tuning in to might be faced with the same situation, because I know it wasn't a decision that you wanted to necessarily do.
No.
It was a really emotional decision for you, but being as supportive as you are to Ray, to your husband, you understood the reasons why it was necessary. So maybe just elaborate a bit on that, because I think there might be lots of other women and men even maybe who have had to make a decision that didn't necessarily suit exactly where they were at.
Well, I think as you mentioned, you know, I was at the top of my game with Pam Golding at the time. I had always dabbled in the health industry. I had already certified, I was already a certified nutritional coach, nutritional therapist, and I had an 800-hour yoga teachers under my belt. I had many different modalities, and the only reason I'm telling you this is because it's going to come in as the story unfolds. But as we know in South Africa, those lovely modalities in health and helping people and serving people don't often pay. So being a single mother, I had ventured into the property industry and had done very well. So I was now at the top of my game. Ray and I had been together, so we got married in, I think it was 2010, somewhere around there. I'm not very good with dates. And so we'd been married a little while, and we'd just kind of built a home on the mountainside, which was really tailor-made to me. I still remember choosing all the cupboards and all the tiles, and it was my first home, so I was super excited. I mean, it really was. It was the most amazing home, and really, I mean, I had the view of the rising sun and the rising moon, because I'm a real moon person. So, you know, along the False Bay coastline, if you're lucky enough to be on that mountainside, you get not only the sunrise, but you get this beautiful moonrise. So, I mean, I had the best life ever anybody could wish for. I really felt like I had it all. Plus my daughter, who is, you know, like my best friend, they lived practically a minute away, and the grandchildren would come over for sleepovers, and life was just
wonderful,
amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ray had always worked in the offshore industry, and that kind of started to dry up a little bit, oil and gas. There were a few things that were happening, the dollar and the gas and the petrol. I don't know the whole story, but literally he was without work. So although I was doing really well, and we'd moved into this beautiful home, which meant that we had, you know, used our savings and maybe even eaten a little bit into our nest egg and to a credit card, etc. And for a year, we managed very well. I mean, actually, I thought we were managing very, very well. But one evening, my husband came to me and he said to me, Kym, I think we are going to have to sell the house. I looked at him and I said, no, we're not going to be doing that. And he said, well, it's either we sell the house or we, you know, we make another plan. So I said, well, what plans have you got in mind, you know? And he went through a couple of scenarios. One of them was moving to Ireland. So I have an Irish passport, very luckily, I suppose, if you look at it that way.
Yes.
My grandfather is Irish. I was never born in Ireland, so I'd never been to Ireland in my life before. I didn't really actually even have a desire to go to Ireland. It was not on my bucket list. It was cold and grey and rainy and, you know, all the things you hear about Ireland.
Yes, but beautiful. It's beautiful too.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. I found this out. It's very beautiful. So, yeah, so very quickly, everything started to roll forward. I didn't really agree with anything. I was always kind of sitting on the fence. I mean, I must have agreed. I don't remember agreeing.
You're reminded that you did.
But being in property, obviously, it was quite easy for me to know what the price of my home was worth, and there were plenty of buyers around, etc. At the time, I was actually moving between agencies, and what happened was I went to a retreat. In fact, that retreat has just come up on my memories on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
And at that retreat, my roomie, she introduced me to a IT lady that was going to build a website for me. And she came to my house and she sat in my home and she said, oh my gosh, I've got people staying with me. If you ever are going to be selling this home, please let me know. They'll buy it in an instant. So I was like, okay. You know how you look for these signs in life?
Yeah.
Well, I said, well, what's there to lose? You know, next day they came around and literally they turned around and they said, okay, what do you want?
No.
And I looked at Ray and he looked at me and I was like, okay, well, hang on. Can I just, you know, can I have a day?
Yes.
Anyway, long story short, they pretty much bought the home instant like that. So literally that was the August. By January, I was doing my recce trip, but our house was sold already. So everything happened very, very, very quickly. And I think in a way, it's a good thing that these things happen quickly. I look at people that plan a trip and they plan a even people that plan a baby. I'm not sure how that happens because that never happened for me. I had a baby, I felt pregnant and I then suddenly had 3, you know. I never planned to have a baby. I never planned to move to another country.
Do you think, Kym, can I just ask you, do you think when you plan that also what happens is that you can end up being very disillusioned because you've built this whole vision in your mind of what these plans are going to turn out like, and then you get there or it happens and it's completely different?
Yes, definitely. I think, look, I'm not saying planning's not a good thing. And some people, you know, I know the saying, if you don't plan to succeed, you plan to fail kind of thing. So this is a different scenario though. This is like a life changing situation, you know. So for me, it was better that it was not planned because I wasn't disillusioned. There were no expectations. It all happened so quickly. I think actually, to be honest, I was in a daze from that August, from the time we took that offer to purchase to the time that I packed the whole household up and everything, planned everything. By the way, Ray left the country. And I only saw him again when we reconnected after the house had been, you know, I'd packed everything up myself and everything. So I did all that alone as well. And that's actually also a good thing because You have time to be in your own space and your own company, and you can do things very methodically. They have to be done. There's a date that the container is arriving to pack a house up. So you can methodically prioritize everything. And in that time, I went to the recce trip. It was my first time in Ireland ever. And I arrived here in December. The 28th of December, I landed here, and I think I was here for like 2 weeks. I literally had to basically take a dart and go around Ireland and stick a dart into a map.
Goodness, is that
and
what you
say, oh, okay, this looks like a good old area. And that's how I chose where we were going to stay.
Because
So
I know
I mean,
you moved, didn't you? I know where you started is not where
yes,
you are now.
yes, yes. But to begin with, it was a good start. It was, as for me, it was as close as home as possible that I could think, you know.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, so
And-
then it happened, you know. Here we are in Ireland.
And you've been there now?
4 years, nearly 4 years.
Wow.
4
So,
years.
so Kym, just share with us maybe a little bit. I mean, you know, obviously there's a big emotion with having to leave family, because I know you are very, very close as a family. And especially I can imagine leaving grandchildren as well, because they grow so fast. But and sort of arriving in a country you knew nobody at all, and you had to start from scratch. So just share with us sort of briefly, how did you obviously rented a house to start with, or
Yes.
that was the
Yes.
decision. So how did you get to meet people then? I mean, was Ray already then working, or had he gone off to work, or what had happened, and how did you get to meet people?
So this is actually quite a good thing for anybody that ever wants to move a continent. You know, it's when you land in a place where you know absolutely nobody, you kind of are completely in a position where you can really reinvent yourself. Nobody knows you. You can become whoever you really want to become. So
quite exciting, actually.
it's actually quite that was the most refreshing thing for me. I kept thinking to myself, because here I was, this property mogul, you know, like quite chic and in my suit every day, and, you know, writing out the contracts and doing the property law. And I actually, by that time, I had a whole team of people, 30 agents, blah, blah, you know, all of that. And I kept thinking, gosh, I can go to a new country and I can become whoever I want to become. I mean, that's what kind of kept me alive in the whole process. When I landed here, I thought, okay, the best way to kind of integrate myself into society is to get going with, firstly, meeting people, you know, because Ray was away. Ray was still in the offshore. By that time, he'd got another offshore job, which was a bit irritating for me. But anyway.
Or maybe gave you more opportunities to get out there and meet people. Because otherwise you kind of stay together, don't you? Because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
You're not pushed out.
Yes. So I was really pushed out into a very uncomfortable space, because I came from a place where I knew everybody. In fact, I was quite a hermit in Cape Town, because my job was quite social. So, you know, now I had to meet people. Otherwise, I was really just going to be alone. And I was depressed, I must be honest. It was a big shock for me. So it's for me to actually push myself to go meet people. I didn't feel like it. But what I did was I looked for groups of like-mindedness, of like interests, like walking, like forest bathing, like meditation, yoga. So I looked up these kind of groups.
That's clever. Yeah.
And I reached out to people and I said, hi, I'm new. You know, would you like to, is there a walking group? You know, what? And I met some beautiful people who are now my clients, and we have a very, very close-knit circle in Kinsale. So Kinsale was the first place that we landed, and we were there for 7 months. But we realized it was really out of our price range, and our savings were just getting eaten away. And we quite quickly moved. So I was again in the same situation. And what I did there was I actually integrated myself into a job. I went to the local health shop because I'm so well versed on health and vitamins and all of that. And I got a job at the local health shop. And there I met all the like-minded people that I would want to kind of be mixing with. So I very quickly integrated into a huge circle of amazing women that are all interested in the same things that I'm interested in health and vitality and high energy and vibrational energy and foraging and walking and all the good things, you know.
Yeah.
And I have so many friends now that I actually have to put a little sort of reminder up for people that, sorry, do you mind just calling, like, WhatsApping me before you arrive for tea?
Because the Irish are a bit like that too, though. I mean, the Irish, Southern Ireland, I love Southern Ireland. I think it's not only a beautiful country, but the people are so very special. They're very different, but they're very, very special. When I've been to Ireland, I sort of walk around with this big smile on my face from morning to night because there's just something about them. I don't know. But so they are very friendly, naturally very friendly. So I do understand that kind of, well, hang on a second, you know, I do have a front door. But I love the ideas that you had, you know. So so if somebody was relocating, I mean, that's a perfect thing to do, is to look for like-minded people. I mean, you do have to push yourself out of that comfort zone. I understand that. But what a great way to do it is, and I think today we're so lucky in some ways with social media and everything, because we can reach out without having to physically always be out there. So we can sort of dabble and put our feet in, or our fingers in, I should say, on social media, just see what's happening. And then were you advised where to move to, or had you already explored and made a decision where to move to?
No, so I remember my husband, he eventually got a really good job here on Ireland, and he's actually he did a couple of things. I mean, he's been amazing. So very supportive. Absolutely my best friend and my greatest confidant, and he has just been a rock for me. So that's also something that one really, I don't know if I could have done it without him, let's put it that way, you know, as a single person moving to a completely new country. Even though at times I was completely on my own, I still had Ray there.
Yes, you knew he was in the background, even if he was not physically there.
Exactly. So we did a lot of driving around because we're in a new country. We are explorers at heart, both of us. So we would get in the car at night. He'd get back from work and he'd pile me into the car because he'd know I'd been on my own. I immersed myself in studying, which I'm still doing. But that's also a thing that we'll just touch on because I think it's important. But he piled me in the car and we would drive everywhere. I mean, we knew West Cork like the back of our hands. I went to every stone circle, every this, every that. You know, we really knew it.
Yes, yes.
And one of the colleagues at work said to him, Ray, why don't you try East Cork? You know, go and have a look at East Cork and see. So if anybody knows Ireland, Cork is at the bottom end, Dublin's up north. So I'm really down south where the weather's better, supposedly. No, we do actually get great weather. And everything I think is much nicer down here. So we ventured out to East Cork, and I love beaches. And we came across this beautiful stretch of beach called Garryvo Beach. And when I got home that night, I went straight on to Daft, IE, which is like the housing where you look for rentals.
Yes, yes.
And I looked under Garryvo, and lo and behold, one house was available up for rental in Garyvaux.
Was that
So
another sign?
Another sign. I applied, and here we are in this house. Is it my best house? Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But it is within our price range. It's in a beautiful area. I mean, everybody covets to live in this area. It's, if anybody knows Ballymaloo Cookery School, it's famous. They are literally on my doorstep, and I know them very well, and I've integrated into that. It's organic gardens, and it's beautiful. I'm a chef myself.
Is it very much an area that also enhances a lot of your interests too?
Absolutely.
So that's
absolutely.
also another very important thing, not to kind of
Yes.
go relocate yourself completely in an
No.
area where you're just not going to find that companionship or like-minded people. So Kym, so tell me, I know that you wanted to touch on your studies and things like that, because I know you have got involved in a lot more back being in Ireland into your health, you know, modules and the things that you know and you're passionate about.
Yes.
And I think it would be nice for people listening, because maybe also there are people out there that could benefit from what you do too. Yes. But before we just get onto that, I mean, do you just quickly, what do you see sort of happening for you? I mean, are you going to stay? Are you going to return? Or what do you see? I know you've had your son just visited from Australia, which must have been absolutely magical. But do you know yet what the future is for you, so the next couple of years? Or?
To be honest, this has been a great adventure, and I fully support, especially actually in your 50s. I think it's the most important thing to change your neural pathways and to do something different. Even if you're going to learn a new language or an instrument or a dance, it's so important to keep your cognitive faculties about you. And the later on you do it, change something in your life, the better, actually. So will we stay? That's a good question. You know, I'm not sure. I don't want to die in Ireland. I know it's a long way off, but I miss my family very, very, very much. I really do. And I think what moving, not to say that I was never grateful for everything. I used to wake up every morning and just be so like in awe of where I lived on the Fishhook Mountain. But I think what traveling does, and being out of your country, your hearts.
Yes.
You know, I'm an African. I was born in Africa. I'm Zimbabwean, actually. So I'm real, like proper African. And that never, ever leaves you. I mean, I have Africa in my bones. And for me, I love the Northern Hemisphere, and actually it's been really good for my health. The climate seems to actually really suit me, but I don't want to miss out on life short, you know.
Yes, exactly.
In an instant, it's gone like this. And my grandson that I left, he was 4 years old. He's now 7 at 8, you know. It just all goes by too quickly, and I don't want to miss out on that at all. So for me, I want to be, I suppose the best of both worlds would be to have something here and something there in South Africa. But whether or not we'll be able to do that, I don't know, you know.
Yes.
So yes, to answer that question in short, I don't know what the future holds.
Well, but that's also, again, you know, an excitement about where it could take you, and you don't have to make any decisions right now.
No,
as long as you're in a position that you can keep coming back and seeing the family, and even though it might not be for as long as you want, you know, you have I think what's important, and I think this is what happens as we mature, is sometimes we just feel that we're stuck in what we've got, and you know, the children grow up, they leave, they start their own, and we just kind of well, one carries on. But I think that's the time that we get given back again. You know, you kind of are young and you're going through life and you're exploring, then you have the family and your commitments are there, and then they leave. And I think if more of us could see that as an opportunity to really explore ourselves, and to go off and do the things that we couldn't do. And that's really what all these conversations for me are about, is really to showcase what people like you have done. Maybe not by always just by complete choice, but you embraced it. Let's say you embraced it and you made really, you took it for the best. And you really have made a wonderful because I've been following you, and you know, all the wonderful things that you have done. So Kym, before we finish off, just very quickly, because with time, I know, just if somebody was going to make this move, or a move to another country, what would be just a short bit of advice that you would give them? Is there anything that you would say to them, or just sort of maybe help them to focus on a bit? Or
I think I'd say not to focus too much, because we overthink things then, you know. So I think if you have that in mind, then just do it. You know, don't deliberate about it too much, because again, it's short, you know, life's short. So if you want to go on an adventure, go do it. If you want to learn something new, go learn it. You know, I think my advice to anybody would be is don't have any regrets.
And that is exactly what got me excited about doing these conversations. Because I once heard somebody say that he called it the rocking chair story. And, you know, if you were sitting on your stoop in your rocking chair looking back and you're now 99, you know, what do you wish you had done? And that's why I think that as hard as it was for you, I think it's absolutely fantastic, really inspiring. And you know, I'm just, you know, great to follow your story. So I'm grateful for social media, because we can glimpse into one another's lives and see what's happening. And I love to see all the beauty of Ireland that you post, and what you're up to and all of that. So
thank you,
Kym, thank you for being as inspiring as you are.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
And I look forward to having a cup of coffee with you in person.
Soon.
Where we can
soon. I'll be in your lounge.
Good, where we can follow up with each other. And I know time is going to run out now. So what I'd love to do, if you're open to it at some stage, maybe when you come to South Africa, we can have a little conversation around what you do in Ireland, because I think it brings so much value to people. And you know, with all your health that you do with this NES and this health practitioners, and I was listening to that I understand that you also create meditations specifically for people according to what their needs are and everything, and it just sounded so interesting, and I'd love to explore that with you.
Lovely.
So when you come, let's do that, and have another conversation over a real cup of tea. Okay.
Well,
so
thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you, Kym, and stay well. And I look forward to seeing you soon. And thank you for inspiring us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.